Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back with another action figure review. Take a look at DC Multiverse figure today. Don't usually take a look at too many DC Multiverse figures these days, but we're taking a look at the new Nekron MegaFig that I just got in from the Mcfarlane toy store. Actually, I bought it directly from them. Truth be told, I got this guy just because at the time I really wanted the Bane MegaFig, and at the time that I ordered, you could only get the Bane MegaFig if you ordered the bundle with Nekron. And also, Mcfarlane Toy Store's shipping prices are pretty criminal, so the only way I could even kind of justify even ordering from them is if I got both of them. So I just caved and I got both of them. Truth be told, I know pretty much nothing about this character besides what I read on the back of the trading card that came with this guy and a little bit of research I did online. I haven't read Blackest Night. I haven't read very many DC comics in general, I'll be honest. At some point, I'll get around to probably reading Blackest Night, but yeah, I haven't read it. But this is, I guess, the main big bad from that storyline. And he's kind of like, I don't know, god of death kind of thing. With this god, like omnipotent kind of character. But it doesn't really matter because it's just a really cool action figure, which I think is always great when you don't know anything about the character, but it's just such a cool design and just so executed so well that you just like it anyways. So yeah, this is like right up McFarlane's alley. It's a creepy monster looking guy, undead looking guy. That's right up McFarlane's alley for doing creepy, crazy looking characters. So I'm not surprised that he did a good job, or the company rather did a good job on this figure. Yeah, so it is a MegaFig, so it is a larger figure. Comes in the bigger box and whatnot. We'll take a closer look at the sculpt and the paint of this guy. Getting in a little closer here. He is very well sculpted and painted. They did an excellent job, especially that head sculpt. Super gruesome and creepy. Absolutely love that. It's got the jaw open. A nice black wash applied to wherever there's pretty much anywhere where there's not just like black plastic. They applied a nice black wash, so it brings out all that awesome sculpted detail and texture on the on his skin, I guess, skin bits, which is super cool. You've got the Black Lantern Corps little emblem on his head there. I love the whited out eyes with the black paint around it. I think that looks absolutely awesome. It's got the little silver painted metal collar thing that also has a black wash. It looks great, and it is made of soft plastics. You don't gotta worry about these things snapping off. They're very durable. You got that gross looking torso with like the opened up rib cage and like the heart in there, the black heart in there, which I think looks super cool. And he's got like this big robe, and as you can see, all this sculpted texture detail on the robe I think looks really good. And on the back, you've got like this little hood or something. You can see the spinal cord in the back looks super cool. The arms have all this nice sculpted detail of musculature and skin detail and whatnot. He's got these wraps around the hands that look really nice. Another like little metal brace there. Again, soft plastic. Don't gotta worry about that breaking. You got the belt, which is painted in a brighter silver. Looks good. The legs are kind of plain in comparison. He's just kind of like got black legs. And he's got these black boots on, but they did put some black, glossy black paint on these little bands here, which are pretty nice. And yeah, it's a super impressive looking figure, both in size and in sculpt and painted detail. This looks really impressive on display. Yeah, I absolutely love how this guy looks. But there isn't a whole lot of different colors or whatever to talk about, so there's not too much to go over in that regard. I'll give you a quick look, see just all the sculpt detail, all that texture detail on the robe, and it looks just super good. But in terms of articulation, he's also pretty decently articulated. He is a bit hindered in some areas, but you have a really nice joint in the neck, a dumbbell joint, I believe, so he gets full rotation, up a decent amount, down a little bit, and he does get a really nice pivot, so that's really good. He's got shoulder joints that move out quite far. This little plastic robe is fairly flexible, gets out the full 90, and you can rotate them pretty much fully forward and even up a little further, which is really nice. He does have his bicep swivels, but I think it's because, or I'm just guessing, because the pegs for the bicep swivels are like softer plastic. They really don't want to turn. It's like you're twisting the plastic instead of twisting the actual joint. I hate it when figures do that. I did try to heat them up, and I wasn't able to get them to move good, so I don't know exactly the fix for that. There probably is one, but yeah, be wary of that. You don't want to twist it and just rip off the joint. He's double jointed, elbows move really nicely, like fully inwards. Mine's a little loose on this side, but this one's pretty good. And you got the standard Mcfarlane wrist joint, which is swivel and a hinge, and you have it go up and down, or if you're reconfigured, you can have it go in and out, whatever you want to do. The right hand is a gripping hand, and then the left hand is kind of like this open clawing, grabby hand, so that's cool. He does actually have a diaphragm or waist joint in there, so you can kind of rotate the torso just a bit. You're not going to be able to do anything too crazy, just a little bit of crunch as well. It's quite hindered by the coat, obviously. Another thing to actually watch for as well is mine actually started tearing at the belt buckle here, the robe, so you do want to be careful of that. Don't move this around too much, you might rip it. That's kind of annoying actually, but yeah, that is a small issue. The legs move out decently. There is a rotation up there, you don't get a ton of movement, but it is there. Hips, I don't want to force this side. I don't want to tear it any more than it already is. But you can get them out decently considering he's got this big plastic robe on the go. Double hinge knees, which move very well, and the joint doesn't look too ugly. And then you have hinges, or rotation at the ankle. Hinges that go a lot up, a lot down. There's an ankle pivot, which moves pretty well, and he also has a toe bend. So pretty good articulation. Like I said, there are some hindrances in some areas. But overall, I think he poses pretty well for being such a large character, and it's probably a character that you don't really need doing like crazy acrobatic poses anyways, so I think the articulation given serves the character just fine. In terms of accessories and the other extras he comes with isn't a ton of stuff. You do get your standard trading card. It does have art from the comic, which is cool. For some reason, for some releases, they were doing pictures of the figure, but I am happy they went back to using comic art. I think that's cool. And you got the write-up there. If you want to pause and read that, you can go right ahead. So there's that. I like these enough. They're cool, but I don't care that much. Do get a display base, you know, the standard DC Multiverse display base, which is always nice that they include these. Not super needed, but for this character, he stands pretty well on his own, but still good to have. And then you do get his scythe, Black Lantern thing, which is really big, actually. It's almost as tall as he is. You have black on the actual blade, a little bit of white there detailing, and then you got the brown for the stick part or handle part, a little bit of other black details. Pretty nice, made of flexible enough plastic where it's not just going to break on you. I did have to heat up the blade and straighten it out a bit. Still not perfect, but it looks a lot better now. And he does grip this pretty well. You can just slide it in his hand. Like so, and he holds that well. Let's straighten him out here. That looks pretty sick. And something you can do is you can have him holding it with two hands with no real problems. You can just use the open hand. You can kind of have him rested in there. He doesn't grip it super tightly in the left hand, but you don't really need him to. You just need him to support the weight. And I think that looks really cool. So yeah, super badass looking figure. I'm very impressed with how it looks. It poses nicely enough where I think it's fun to pose and mess with. And I think accessories are good. You know, it doesn't come with a ton of stuff, but it comes with what it needs to. Obviously, it's always be nice if he came with alternate hands, but you know, not a big deal. I'm gonna have him holding the scythe anyways. In terms of, let's do some size comparison real quick. Give you an idea how big he is, because he's a pretty big figure. Here's, I would say, a pretty standard size DC Multiverse 7-inch figure. It's the recent new DC Rebirth Godspeed, which is, I'm probably not going to review this, but it is actually a really nice figure. So you can see he's definitely quite a bit taller and larger, which is super cool. Here he is with the DC Multiverse Mcfarlane Build-A-Figure Merciless. You can see he is taller than him by a fair margin. Here's with another MegaFig release. This is the Zack Snyder Justice League cut Steppenwolf. You can see he's actually bigger than Steppenwolf. I wasn't actually sure if he's going to be taller than him or not. He actually is. So that's pretty cool. And the Steppenwolf figure is a fairly big figure. Get that out of the way. And then finally, from another line, the Storm Collectibles Injustice 2 Darkseid, which I think is pretty cool. They're about the same height. I'd even say Nekron's ever so slightly taller, but They're about the same size. I think that looks pretty cool as well. So overall, I think this is a really nice release, actually. I think it's a really strong release from McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. I think the Multiverse line has improved exponentially, especially since release, but even I think every new wave and every new release just keeps getting better and better for the most part from DC Multiverse. I still do not understand the people who knock the McFarlane stuff and the DC Multiverse stuff. Of course, not everything's going to be perfect, but yeah, I think this figure is definitely a testament of just what the company can do. So if you collect the DC Multiverse line, you're familiar with the character, the fan of the character, or the fan of the storyline, I definitely recommend picking this up. I think it's a really good figure if you're a fan of Blackest Night. But even if you're not a fan, not really familiar with the character like I wasn't, it's still a solid figure. If you just want a cool, creepy looking figure, you could like easily throw this guy in your Spawn display or whatever, what have you, right? I think you can do kind of whatever you want. And it's just a really impressive looking figure to put on display on the shelf. He towers over the characters, sculpted and painted beautifully. You know, he's fun to pose around. It's just an all around really solid release. So I would highly recommend picking him up if you're interested. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I will be reviewing the Bane MegaFig next, so look out for that. I'm really excited to take a look at him. And yeah, that's all I have. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.